Couldn't get much better than this. The programs that gave us Bear and Bud, Switzer, Saban, and Stoops square off one more time with everything to play for. Coming off a bye week, the Sooners are rested, relaxed, and ready, and they certainly better be if they want to roll this rising tide and their 8 consecutive wins on the season. From Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, Sooner Game Day is presented by Taco Mayo. Tap the app and save today. 7th all-time meeting between two of the premier programs in the sport's history. Sooners have won 4 of 7 all-time meetings, including a surprise win in Norman a season ago. It's a 2:30 kickoff on ABC Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Sean McDonough, former Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy, and Molly McGrath will be on the call. Great to have you alongside for Oklahoma's second ever trip to Tuscaloosa, the first time that they went there. Brent Venables was a co-defensive coordinator and the Butkus and Bednarik award-winning linebacker. National champion at that time, Ted Lehman, was on that squad that prevailed with the Sooner win. Yeah.
It was a fun trip. It was awesome.
I would imagine.
It was a lot of, because I don't know how everyone was, but I didn't know all of the history around Alabama, and Coach Stoops throughout the week was showing us a lot of the stuff. So that's one that we really looked forward to.
And the Werfel Trophy winner, academic All-American of the Year, All-American center Gabe Eichert, played against Alabama. Big-time Sugar Bowl win that I think that the parties that night are still resonating with many former Sooner players. It was a fantastic night.
Think that night took a few days off my life.
Well worth it.
And, yeah. 100%. I think it is that Sugar Bowl win way up there on my list of football memories.
Had to be. Perhaps this will be for some of the Sooners who are going to go to battle against the 6th-ranked team in 10 games they've played this season. None of them as high as the 4th-ranked Crimson Tide, and it's all there. It's available for all of them. You look at the college football playoffs, it's a possibility for the Sooners. Ted, just both of you touch upon what's at stake for these two teams this week.
Well, it's for Oklahoma, it's going to be very difficult. I don't know. It melts my brain to think through all the different scenarios if you're a 9-3 football team. But if you go win this puts you in a really good position to make the college football playoff. And I know it's just something that I know these guys want. You're always wanting to prove yourself on the biggest stage, and there's really none bigger than Tuscaloosa.
Can't be.
I think this game, when you look at it for both teams, clearly very important for both. But as far as the college football playoff, Bama doesn't technically need this game, right? They've got the one loss. I think everyone agrees that they're a completely different football team than the one that lost to Florida State in the opener, which continues to just baffle me that
more
that
and
happened.
More by the week, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a week-by-week league, isn't it? It's a week-by-week sport. But it's huge for Oklahoma. Now, I have spent way too much time going through the scenarios where we lose a close one in Tuscaloosa, beat Missouri, beat LSU, and then find a way in at 9-3. I've spent a lot of time on that, but everything's nice and clean if you go and win in Tuscaloosa for the Sooners, and that would be a huge boost for this team's college football playoff chances.
8 consecutive wins, as we've talked about, since that opening loss to Florida State. Now, they beat LSU last week, and the Tigers were not ranked. Prior to that, it was 4 straight wins versus 4 ranked SEC teams. That was almost like you guys Red October, and you could almost call it Alabama's Red October that they had, Teddy. But when you look at what they're doing offensively these days, what do you see with the Tide?
I just think they're really efficient. I know people have talked, and they're not running the football really well, but Ty Simpson is excellent at quarterback, and the way he manages that offense, distributes the football to the playmakers. They're solid on the offensive line. And, it's not as flashy as you would imagine it is. And they hit some deep stuff, and they got some crazy talent at wide receiver, as everyone knows. But it's not an offense that just piles up tons of yards, tons of points. They're just smooth. They're efficient. They don't, shoot themselves in the foot. They're just a good, well-coached football team that capitalizes on their opportunities.
Certainly their offense has gotten more headlines than their defense, Gabe, but that's not to say that they can't beat people and stop people. What do you see in this defense?
Yeah, they're solid. I think that they are. I think they're better than people think they are up front. When you look at some of their statistics and kind of where they fall, especially within the SEC, they got a bunch of NFL players on this defense, and that's no surprise. It's Alabama. But the one area I think we can attack them is corner. And that's in the passing game with our wide receivers and in the running game. And I think that's going to be a huge, huge factor for us on Saturday. We have to make their corners tackle. We got to get them into the fit, and we got to make them tackle consistently in the run game. Whether that's Xavier Robinson, Torrey Blaylock, John Mateer, we got to make their corners tackle because that has definitely been a weakness for them up to this point in the season. But if OU's offense comes out and plays their best ball and John Mateer comes out and plays at a high level, we can move the ball and score points against this defense. But the key thing is you cannot turn it over. This has been one of the best defenses in the country at taking the ball away from their opponent, and that's just not going to work. You're not going to go to Tuscaloosa, lose the turnover margin, and walk out of there with the win. It's just not going to happen.
How about the fact the Sooners, we haven't seen them since the Tennessee game. They've had 2 weeks to get ready for this game, including basically a week off. You can get rested and ready. And Alabama had to play LSU last week. How big a factor is that, fellas?
Yeah, advantage us, right? And I know that LSU's not having the type of season that a lot of people thought they would have. They still got some talented guys, and that was a physical football game. LSU had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to go tie the game. So it's not like it was some blowout, even though the game felt lopsided as you watched it because LSU's just struggling so much offensively. But that was a physical – that game's always physical between those two teams. So while they were doing that, we were getting to rest up. And I think in particular for OU's offense, out of all the teams we've played, all the defenses we've played, I think this is the best opponent to have a bye before because, frankly, Alabama does some things from a schematic standpoint that no other team we played have done, and it's a good thing that our young offensive line had extra time to prepare for some of those things.
Yeah, I agree. And, you got the stretch run, get your legs back a little bit, and, just to evaluate yourself, offensively – we've morphed throughout the season as to what we're good at, some areas that we need to improve on. And, we got a new 5 offensive line that we didn't have the last bye week. We're starting to run the football a little bit more. So you can kind of take stock of those things and maybe figure out what you want to do in these final 3 games.
Last season in Norman, one of the highlights of the year, Oklahoma trailed 3-0, rattled off 24 unanswered, and shocked Alabama. They had college football playoff aspirations, but they ended right here in Norman, and that was the fewest points scored by an Alabama team in 20 seasons. That Sooner defensive performance, they could use one of those coming up Saturday in Tuscaloosa. The OU offense has looked better lately, certainly late in the game against Tennessee. They got the job done. Can it continue against the Crimson Tide? The fellas weigh in next on Sooner Game Day, presented by Taco Mayo. Can't wait for Saturday. Sooners and the Crimson Tide, 2:30 on ABC. Oklahoma trying to stay in the hunt to make the college football playoff. Alabama, they're in the hunt to play in the SEC title game and the college football playoff. Huge game. Couldn't get much bigger. And you like to have your stars shine the brightest on the big stages. And for Oklahoma, that'd be John Mateer. You look at what he has done. It seems like it's getting better since he had the thumb injury. And against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago now, did have the late game turnover, but 80 yards rushing, kept the defense off balance by using his feet. Ted, how important is it to continue those 2 trends, not turning it over and using your feet?
Yeah, well, the turnover, that's going to decide the football game in my mind. But, I think Mateer using his legs, and we talked about it, Gabe, it's the most juice, assertiveness he's had in the run game since he had the surgery. Now, I know that was a hand surgery, but, I think he was dealing with something lower body as well. But he looks fresher. He looks like whenever he takes off, like he's not feeling his way through. And that's going to be critical. There's been some running quarterbacks that have given Alabama fits. That's nothing new, and that's not unique to Alabama. But He's going to have to find a way to put it all together. You're going to have to be smart with the football, accurate, and whenever he has opportunities to run, he's going to have to get the job done.
How about his thumb, Gabe? Time off's got to help it, right?
Yeah, the extra time is certainly a good thing for John Mateer as he gets further removed from that hand surgery. And I'm of the belief that John Mateer's been playing through a lot more pain than he has told people about. And it just, I think when you go back, and this is something I did during the bye week, went back and looked at how he was spinning it against Michigan and then what it looked like against Ole Miss and Tennessee, and there's a noticeable difference, but it looked better against Tennessee than it did against Ole Miss in the passing game. And my hope is that the confidence continues to grow and the confidence continues to get back to where it was for him early in the season as a passer. And we had Emmett Jones on Coach's Corner this week, and he said this is like Mateer starting to look like how he looked going back to training camp. And one thing that got me really excited that Coach Jones said was that he's starting to carry himself with that juice, that confidence, and the other guys on the offense are starting to feel that. So I'm hopeful that we're going to get the best John Mateer we've gotten since the hand surgery.
It would help to have the best run game in many,
Correct.
many weeks. But it's been a work in progress on the offensive line. But the key word is progress. There has been some. Caden Helms a little more at the tight end spot, bigger, more physical guy, more Eddie Pierre-Louis that we have seen as well. And Xavier Robinson looks healthier. He's ripping off 9 yards a clip in his last 2 games. Gabe, is it a product of one long run maybe against Ole Miss and Mateer's feet against Tennessee, or do you see progress with these guys?
Well, it's all of it. And I actually think it starts with Ben Arbuckle. I think that this staff over these last couple of weeks have done a good job of going, okay, what are we good at? What does our personnel do well? And they've done a good job of keeping our tight ends, for the most part, out of in-line, tough, like one-on-one situations with edge guys. And that has paid off. I think Caden Helms has done a really good job of being a catalyst for this run game. And then Xavier Robinson's run through some trash, right? And that's what good backs do. And his speed is looking as good as it's looked, frankly, since he's been here. But it all comes down to the O-line. That's what it always comes down to, and it will against Alabama. Eddie Pierre-Louis, Ryan Foje, Michael Fasusi. We're starting 3 freshmen on the road in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
And the way that those guys play will determine, in my opinion, how efficient this offense can be.
You know, Gabe mentioned trying to make Alabama's corners make tackles. How do you do that? Can they find success doing that, Teddy?
Well, you can do it a bunch of different ways. You know, it's always easy to test those guys early by throwing the quick bubble stuff outside, just the quick routes, and force those guys to have to come up and tackle in some space. But also formationally, you know, knowing how they adjust to different formations, you can pull those guys from the outside to where they're asked to be a part of the run game. You can crack with the outside receivers on the support safety, forcing the corner to have to chase and come in and be the extra player and make the tackle. And ultimately, that's what you want to get to, right? You want the least physical player on their defense to have to make the most plays in the run game. And I imagine we'll have a plan to get to a lot of that. And, you know, no matter how it is, no matter how you run the football, I just feel like they're feeding off of it a little bit. This offensive line, you know, first part of the season, they weren't seeing the running backs, the name on his jersey running away from him very much.
Yeah.
They're starting to now, and I think that group just kind of builds on that, and they've got, at least it appears to me, a little more attitude about them.
And there's such a big difference between being in 3rd and 3,
no doubt,
as opposed to 3rd and 6. And that's one of those things where it may not seem that important, but the call sheet is way longer in 3rd and 3 than it is in 3rd and 6. So over these last couple of games, the offense has done a much better job of putting themselves in some better 3rd down situations. And that, I believe that's all connected to how much more efficiently we've run the football.
How about Oklahoma's pass catchers? I mean, Alabama, they looked the part back there. In the secondary, they got 8 picks, a couple of pick sixes back there. Pierre can get to quarterbacks coming at John Mateer. He's got 9.5 sacks. Has had a really good career. What about Oklahoma's pass catchers being able to get open and give Mateer some targets?
They're going to start a true freshman at corner. So are we. But they're going to start a true freshman at corner. And you got to go after him. He is, I mean, his physical profile is ridiculous. He's 6'4", 202 pounds. He looks phenomenal. Dijon Lee, number 5, and I think he's going to be a great player for them. But he has shown some susceptibility to the comeback routes, right? He wants to stay on top of everything, not get beat deep. So some of these routes where he's threatened with speed and then guys shut it down, there's been some space there. You can go watch Tennessee. They completed several of those on him. South Carolina completed multiple on him. I think we're going to attack him. I think we're going to find out if he can turn and run. I think we're going to find out if he can turn, run, and stop. But when you're putting a true freshman out on the field, when everyone else is so talented for that defense that Bama's got, you have to attack him and make him prove himself.
Don't let him hide. Don't let him hide. Find him, and he will be tested, as will the Sooners secondary against Ty Simpson and one of the best passing offenses in the country. He is now a Heisman favorite, and deservedly so, but he's going against the stingiest defense in the SEC so far. That's Oklahoma. What happens when the irresistible force meets the immovable object? Well, we might find out at 2:30 Saturday in Tuscaloosa. The fellows weigh in with their opinions next on Sooner Game Day. Getting you all set for this Crimson Clash between the Sooners and the Crimson Tide coming up Saturday at 2:30. Talking now about the Alabama offense. Been excellent this year, best in the SEC if you just look at the numbers in SEC games. And the Sooner defense, which has been the best maybe in the country all season long if you combine all the stats. Alabama hasn't been able to run it consistently. Oklahoma has stopped the run. Statistically, the best in the SEC. Alabama's 14th out of 16 SEC squads in running the football. Teddy, is that a trend that you see continuing on Saturday?
Needs to. It has to. If they struggle with it, and, they've been able to manage with that problem throughout some really big games, but we have to continue to stop them. The whole key is going to be the turnover margin. We talked about that, and third down. What do we do on third down? And, a team that doesn't run it well, if you start to let them get something going, let them average 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. And, Gabe was talking about 3rd and 3 is different than 3rd and 6. No doubt, especially when you have a quarterback like Ty Simpson and you're trying to change things and give him different looks so he doesn't get comfortable. We're going to have to stop the run. And they're going to find creative ways to maybe, hit a play here or a play there and take advantage of how we line to some certain things. But we have to tackle really well. And if we can continue to put Ty Simpson in 3rd and long, we will ultimately win that battle, I believe. He's going to make some plays. The wide receivers they've got, the offensive line they got, he can move around. He's going to make some plays. But in the long run, if they're snapping it and it's 3rd and 8 to 12, that's exactly where we need to be.
All right, let's talk more Ty Simpson as we jump into the scoop presented by your neighborhood Brahms Ice Cream and Dairy Stores. Farm fresh for over 50 years. He replaces the 2-year starter Jalen Milroe at quarterback and maybe struggled against Florida State in that opener. But, Gabe, we're talking 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. Those are like Baker Mayfield in his prime at Oklahoma type of numbers. Give us an idea. What's Ty Simpson's game? What's he really good at?
He is the best at playing quarterback that I've seen in a long time.
Really?
He's not the most physically gifted. Although he's a good athlete, he can run, and this is not some underdog story. Ty Simpson was a 5-star recruit that signed at Alabama. He's incredibly talented. The thing that stands out to me is his processing. Yep. That's what I believe makes him elite. That's what I believe has him in play to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft coming up in April. He's that good. His ability to process what the defense is doing, get them in the right play, get them out of a bad play, look coverage off, diagnose what teams are trying to do to him, and then deliver accurate, on-time throws. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's as good as I've seen since Joe Burrow at LSU in that special season they've had. He is excellent at playing the quarterback position at a professional level. That's what he does for them. That's what Ryan Grubb, and Ryan Grubb was the Seahawks offense coordinator a year ago. He's back at Bama now, reunited with Kalen DeBoer. He plays the quarterback position like an NFL guy.
He's coached by a professional coach who was there last year.
They put a lot on his plate, and he has been extremely good at handling all of it.
Teddy, the two quarterbacks that have beaten the Sooners this year, that's Arch Manning of Texas, Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss, both kept plays alive, not just running for first downs, but keeping plays alive with their feet. How about this guy, Simpson's ability to do the same thing? How much of a concern is that?
It is. It's a concern. We saw in that clip we just ran that he can avoid guys in the pocket and get outside, make plays with his arm. He's not going to pull it down and kill you in the running game. It's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to create a little bit more space, a little bit more time for himself, and find a wide receiver streaking down the field. And, just watching that clip that they put together there and listening to Gabe talk about how he plays the quarterback position, his eyes, what I think is excellent. A lot of quarterbacks you see in college football are staring it down. They're telling you where they're going with the football at all times. Not him. He's scanning the entire field, quick decisions. When he sees the open guy, when he sees the open read, he takes it. But to your point, yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to get there. But when we get there, we have to get him to the ground. We've seen times where you mentioned Chambliss, Arch Manning were able to get out of some of those pressures, get outside, create. That's when our defense is going to fall apart. So, yeah, I think we're going to get there, but we got to get that dude to the ground.
They have had some issues at offensive tackle, right tackle in particular, in pass protection. Sure, would I love us to go down there and have like 6 sacks? Absolutely. That would be amazing. But I think the key is just pressure. If he is comfortable in the pocket, it has been proven, he will pick us apart. Mm-hmm. When he's been comfortable, he's picked everyone apart, and he's got elite weapons at his disposal.
There's our next target. Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, 10 touchdowns, and that's just the beginning, really.
They're as good as we've seen, right? The Tennessee guys were really good. The Ole Miss guys were really, really good. I think Bama, I think these guys are even a step above those groups. But you have to make Ty Simpson uncomfortable. That's the key. Hit him, pressure in his face. Like, you have to make him uncomfortable. And that's with what you're doing schematically defensively as well. Show him something, change the picture, do it a lot. Like, it's going to be quite the chess match between Simpson and Venables.
How about just that matchup, those wide receivers? Bernard, Williams, Oklahoma's going to have a freshman corner starting out there. How about the matchup with these two guys and what they're capable of, Ted?
Well, I think they're incredibly talented. It's no surprise. It feels like Alabama has been just a steady machine pumping out elite wide receivers for years now. But I like the matchup. Those guys are going to make plays on you, though. I mean, we know that. They're going to make some plays, but if the pressure is there, I think our secondary can hold up. Cortland Guillory's had an excellent season, and we're rotating a bunch of different guys through at corner and at safety, and for the most part, they've held up really good. The thing that worries me is them pushing it down the field on us in the pass interference calls. We've been better lately, not tallying those up, but throughout the season, that's been a big problem. But, all things considered, I like the matchup. I mean, I think we can defend those guys, but it's like every week in this conference, you see a group of 2 or 3 wide receivers that you're going to be watching on Sunday.
That's why they're playing in the SEC.
Right.
They're going to be in the NFL coming up. How about revenge? It was a humbling loss for Alabama here last year, and no doubt it had a lot of the fan base that you might hear on sports talk radio questioning the man that they hired to replace Nick Saban. He's bounced back in a huge way this year, but is revenge at all a factor? You guys have played in these types of situations.
No.
Gabe? No?
I don't think
Once
that matters.
you get out there, you don't even think about it.
I don't think that matters at all in this game. And the main reason why is what's on the line for both teams. You got to be focused on executing your job. Yeah, did they come to Norman and get whooped last year? Sure. But Bama's in, hey, we're going to go win a national championship mode. Mm-hmm. If you're stuck on the game last year, I mean, what are you doing? So that's in for us, like, we can't take much from that year. We're a completely different football team. Like, sure, maybe that gives us a little confidence saying, hey, we can go beat this team. But now this is about the 11-on-11 in between the white lines in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. I don't really care about last year at all.
No, it's not going to matter. The only thing that you can say is, well, we went on the road to a big-time environment, Tennessee, and won that game. It's going to be incredibly loud and a great crowd there at Tuscaloosa, but I don't know that it's going to get any louder. Like, you get to a certain point and it's just a roar, right?
It's like a 100-mile-an-hour fastball
like
or 102.
At some point, you can't hear.
That's right. And then, the fact that you beat Alabama a year ago, I just think there's probably a level of confidence. There's people that go into that stadium, and I'm not saying that Oklahoma would ever be one of these, but there's people that go in that stadium prepared to lose, right? And they're just waiting for that moment when, okay, we did a good job early, but here it comes. Well, whenever you beat them a year ago, I don't think anyone's going to have that attitude walking into that stadium.
My pleasure, presented by Chick-fil-A. Download the Chick-fil-A app. Order your favorites ahead of time. Quick answer here. Teddy, what would give you the most pleasure? For you to be 2-0 when visiting Tuscaloosa, Alabama?
Win the turnover battle.
Oh,
I mean, that's it.
Alabama is 4th in the country. They're plus 10.
Number
that
one
leads
in the
the
SEC.
SEC. Oklahoma is minus. We could probably throw away a lot of this other stuff we're talking about and just boil it down to that, couldn't we?
It's for them, it's how they feast on people, right? They punch the ball out, they rip it out, they score on defense. And, you look at our offense throughout this season, we've had some bad turnovers, right? It's been a problem for us to be where we are today and being 9th in the turnover margin, not very good. But if we could win it in Tuscaloosa, it gives ourselves a really good chance.
I think Mateer has to have a big day throwing the ball for us to walk out of Tuscaloosa with the win. So give me John Mateer 275.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
250, 275. 275.
75 it is.
That is
Simpson's going to be throwing that thing all over the yard.
That is my pleasure, presented by Chick-fil-A. The Oklahoma defense, R. Mason Thomas, has been good, but a guy who's been aging like a fine wine has been Taylor Wine. We profile him next. Get to know him a little bit on Sooner Game Day, presented by Taco Mayo.
You're supposed to wear OU stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he showed up to the interview. This is how he's dressed. I just like to see.
Oh, classic. Well, his nickname is, I didn't realize this, but I heard of people calling him CJ. And I was like, what does CJ mean? And he was all embarrassed by it, but it means Chave Jr. And he's a way better football player than I ever was. But no, he's dressed as me as I hear him. Yeah. He thinks he's funny too. But that's who he is though. I think there's a comfortability as well in our relationship. When a guy is that invested, man, and we bust chops all the time. We're around our players all the time. And connected people or connected groups is how you do amazing things together, better together. And so, man, he spends so much time with the defensive staff and the defensive support staff. Like, we're busting each other's chops, and then he'll throw a jab in there, and one of the coaches will give him one back. And so him dressing up as me on this dress-up day is not surprising.
Taylor Wine, played defensive end here. One of the edgemen from Nashville, Tennessee. Was born here in Edmond, but raised in Nashville. I was recruited late. I was a late bloomer.
I'd never heard of him. I actually thought like he was like a Russian spy or something, because I knew all the other DNs that were like awesome players in the class, and I did not know who this one was. I think it was Coach Greg Nation that put his tape on my desk. We had lost a commitment from a guy in the recruiting class, and we're looking for one more DN. And man, he put this long, rangy, violent, high-effort guy tape, and showed this tape to Coach V, and Coach V and his Coach V voice said,
"Hey, yeah, that's a dude. You found you a diamond in the rough."
I've always been an underdog. It's been like that my whole life. I'm the youngest of 8, 7 boys and 1 girl, so I'm an underdog in my house. So yeah, I've always been overlooked, and so that's done nothing but fuel me and make me the guy that I am today. First round playoffs go by, and Coach Chave gives a call, and I knew right then and there that I was gonna be a Sooner, and haven't turned back since. Love it here. As soon as they called me, I wanted to commit. I knew right then and there I wanted to be a Sooner, and I hadn't even stepped on campus yet. I just knew from talking with Coach Chape and Coach V and kind of their vision for what they wanted. I knew it fit and it aligned exactly with my morals and what I was wanting. This is a winning program. This culture and this place is built on winning, and Coach V is so brilliant defensively, and Coach Chafe is just coaching. You can just tell he doesn't coach he just coaches so hard and passionately. And so when I saw that and I saw how they interacted with the players and how they treated the guys here, and even talking to older guys on my visits like Ethan Downs, you can just tell just tremendous love for the university and for Norman. And so, yeah, those things just attracted me, and I love it here.
This dude loves it. They call him Coach Juan. In his mindset, like he's always wanted to be great, but like last year I traveled 6 guys the past couple of years, and he was the last guy on the bus. He was like the snail on Noah's Ark. You know what I mean? He got it. He got there, but he was late. He barely made it, but he made it. And to see him go from the last guy on the bus to playing some of the best football on the team is just attributed to his hard work, man. He is as invested as I've seen in college football. Not just the time he spends, but the love, the energy, the emotional investment, the relational investment. He loves his brothers. He loves the other DNs. He loves the defense, but he loves the whole team. And he loves the janitor around the building. He loves the coaching staff. And I think his love is what is, and his desire to be great has manifested in a investment of time and energy that's allowed him to be where he's at. And he's really coachable. I don't rip anybody harder than I rip them when I'm coaching. And I can't be harder on him than he is on himself. And so he cares, and so I think that's what his secret sauce is, his love and his hard work.
Taylor Wine, 11 tackles for loss to lead the Sooners, who lead the country in tackles for loss. And a hat wear game. He's not afraid to try some things.
Cowboy hat was definitely a better look.
Yeah, the derby.
We need to get him a black cowboy hat. He seems like a black cowboy hat guy.
Yeah, I almost fell out of my chair when I heard him say he's the youngest of 8.
Yes.
I mean, he's been through some
fighting
wars.
for everything since he came into this world. So he's important every game. But our Mason Thomas, we don't know his status. He went out of the Tennessee game early. Don't know exactly what it's going to be. So how important does that make a guy like Taylor Wine up there, Teddy?
He's got to be huge, and I got no worries about that. Taylor Wine's going to be ready to play. He gives tremendous effort. Feels like he's getting better and better with every game. And I like the depth that we have at that position. Marvin Jones Jr. has turned into an excellent all-around player for us. I think PJ continues to get better, and Danny Okoye, they've slowly been giving him more and more reps as the season's gone on, and he adds a little something different, with his athleticism coming off the edge. So we love to have our Mason Thomas. He's one of the best defensive players in the country. If he can't go, still feel good about the guys that we're going to have out there.
Yeah, that group's been special this year, and the special teams has been special this year. In particular, a guy whose shorts have garnered a lot of shorts. I guess they're football pants / shorts. What are we calling them?
Whatever he wants.
We're calling them an NIL marketing
whatever
opportunity.
he wants. He keeps burying 50-plus yarders. You wear whatever you want, Tate Sandell.
4 of 55-plus for Tate Sandell. And Ted, I got to think at some point that impacts you as a head coach when you're making decisions over on the sidelines, strategy, field position, and all those sorts of things.
Absolutely. And the confidence that you have jogging him out there to hit a 50-yarder, I mean, in the NFL, that's one thing. College football, that's rare.
Yeah.
Right? And early in a game, late whenever you have to have something, people will do that. But first quarter, second quarter, he's got no problem sending him out there. He's been fantastic.
That is Ted Lehman's deepest commentary on a punter or kicker ever in the history of Sooner Game Day. I think you've really grown, Teddy.
I know it.
We know that this is the marquee matchup in the SEC. Others might be more excited about a Bevo sighting between the hedges. We're going to talk a little bit about that game when we come back on Sooner Game Day, presented by Taco Mayo.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola. Sooner Game Day is presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Riverwind Casino, the official entertainment destination of OU Athletics. The Sooner Sports Podcast is your all-access audio pass to Sooner Sports. Listen as Toby Rowland and Chris Plank talk all things Sooners. Log on to Soonersports.com/podcast or search Sooner Sports Podcast in your favorite podcast provider. The Sooner Sports Podcast is presented by Allstate and Riverwind Casino.
NCAA update time, looking around the country, and then we're going to pick a few games around the SEC and the country. But, of course, we had the college football playoff rankings out. Second time we have seen the rankings. Oklahoma is number 11, but you have to remember, in the rankings, there's no Group of Five or ACC team in there. When the playoff is finally unveiled, the bracket will include each of one of them. Is it too early? We can't turn this into sports talk radio, but you got to start looking at it a little bit, don't you, Gabe?
It just for OU?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all I'm doing. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You got to start looking at it a little bit. I've run through every scenario. But
I can imagine.
I'm just gonna say it. I know a lot of people are thinking it. Starting to feel really stupid that the Group of Five gets a spot. I'm just gonna point out it's starting to feel really dumb.
Yeah,
it is.
And I hate that because I love college football. I love what this sport is, but it feels dumb.
There needs to be a stipulation on the Group of Five candidate because this year there may not be any deserving. I don't know what that stipulation would ever be. All right, let's take a look at our Pick'em scoreboard. Kind of a mediocre year for us, but I picked up one game on you guys. This has been so long ago, I don't even remember what games we were picking.
No kidding. Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Ohio State. We all picked Ohio State. That seems to be like that.
Just get the win. What are we doing at the end of that football game?
Okay, we got to get through these quickly. Our Pick'em scoreboard is presented by Riverwind. It's always a good time. 5 straight wins for Texas. They are the leading sack team in the country. Can they make Gunnar Stockton miserable for Georgia, Gabe?
I think they can, but I'm going to take Georgia at home. It's just hard to imagine they're going to lose 2 at Sanford Stadium this year. But I think this is a game that comes down to the last couple of possessions, Ted. But give me the Dogs. Oh, no.
Everything tells me Georgia's going to win the game.
Oh, no.
But Texas, it's like, I don't know. It's like it's the worst thing to watch because they keep finding a way to win these games that they should lose. I'll take Georgia to win, but I think it's going to come down to the very end, and Texas is going to surprise a lot of people with their performance, I believe.
I'm going to take Texas, even though I'm still mad at Bevo for trying to attack Uga a few years ago.
I showed my kids that video this week. They think Bevo's the worst.
Okay, we got to hurry. Mississippi State, Missouri. Sooners play Missouri next. They're down to their 3rd quarterback. Mississippi State can get bowl eligible. I'm taking Mississippi State in this game. Jeff Levy.
I see Chad's getting wild here. I'm going to go Missouri. I think Missouri's going to lean on that run game, control the football game. I still really like their defense. I know they've struggled on the offensive side as they lose quarterbacks, but give me Missouri.
Yeah, give me Missouri. I trust that defense. I think they'll be able to run it to where Zoller's impact on the game is minimal. I'll take the Tigers.
We ignore any coaching rumors with this game. Florida and Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss team. Ole Miss probably doesn't have to win this to still go to the SEC championship game. I think they win anyway. Gabe, you?
I'm taking Ole Miss. They're just a better football team than Florida.
Totally agree. Same. They're cruising right now. They play at a really good, high level week in, week out.
North Carolina State, Miami, NC State upset Georgia Tech. Can they end Miami's playoff hopes?
I feel like Miami got a new lease on life a little bit. I'll take the Hurricanes.
Yep, same with me, taking Miami. You never know, though. College football, especially Miami, there's volatile football team.
Good way to put it, but I'm still taking them. Arkansas, LSU both have interim head coaches. Sooners going to play LSU to close the season.
Gosh, what a gross game.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's pick
LSU,
Notre Dame and Pitt.
Give me Notre Dame in that game, but
Me
I'll
too.
take LSU at home. I think.
Same.
LSU as well.
I'll take
as well.
LSU. I think their defense is going to get them, across the finish line this year.
I agree. Speaking of across the finish line, there were some Sooners in the NFL getting across the finish line this past week. Mark Andrews was one of them. Nick Bonito having a good year for the Broncos. We're taking a look at Sooners in the NFL when we return on Sooner Game Day.
Sooner Game Day is presented by Sooner Kids Club. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Devon Energy. One Oklahoma, powered by Sooner Sports Properties. Fan-fueled, athlete-focused. OU's 2025 football games are available on Ritmo 96.5 FM in Oklahoma City and 101.5 FM El Patron in Tulsa, as well as on these stations' websites. Each OU Spanish broadcast will feature a 30-minute pregame show and a 15-minute postgame show. Sooner Game Day is presented by Air Comfort Solutions. Your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola. OG&D. We energize life. OU Fan Shop. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. OU Health. Never done and never outdone.
Sooners on Sunday, or Sooners in the NFL, because there's lots of games that aren't on Sunday. It's powered by Sooner Sports Properties, fan-fueled, athlete-focused. Nick Bonito continues to have a great season. People complain about Mark Andrews in the fantasy game. He doesn't catch a lot of passes, but they tend to be important pass catches, Teddy.
I complain about everything in the fantasy game.
A lot of people do.
I'm out. I'm out of the fantasy game. Best thing I've ever done.
Andrews had a hell of a career. He's done a great job. And Bonito, man, just turned into one of the premier rushers in the NFL, got that big payday, and he's going out and proving that he wants more.
Right place, right system, right fit. Yep. They use him so well up there in Denver. 8-2, only 8-2 team in the NFL. Hey, if they can get consistent quarterback play, make them a Super Bowl contender. It is time for our hot takes to close the show. They are presented by Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. Gabe, what is your winning call?
I'm going to say John Mateer throws for 2 touchdowns.
Okay. You're big on Mateer. You said 275 passing?
I think he's got to have a big day throwing the football because, and I know you look at some of the statistics with Bama's defense, like they're solid in the core of their defense. I think they've got a solid defensive line. I like their inside backers. I think the running game, we can find some success, but I think it's going to be one of those games where Mateer's going to have to do some damage through the air. And if that thumb is feeling as good as it's felt in a long time, I think he's capable of doing it. You got to get back to attack in the middle of the field. That's been an area where Bama's secondary has struggled at points in time this season, Ted. So, yeah, I continue to believe Mateer's got to have a big game if we're going to walk out of there with a win.
The few people that have gone in there and won had to have special performances from quarterbacks. I mean, so he's going to have to be good. For me, 2 turnovers on defense, and special teams is going to score or set up a score, whether that's a punt return game, a block punt, like whatever that may be, because I think we're going to have to win the special teams battle decisively to get out of there with a win.
Also things that have to happen when you go on the road into a place like that. A special play on special teams, something that you don't foresee. It takes that to win in places like Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It is Oklahoma's second ever visit to Tuscaloosa. They won there back in 2003. They lead the all-time series, but Alabama, the number 4 team in the country. That is the highest ranked team the Sooners have played all season long. Can't wait to watch it and enjoy it. It'll be on ABC TV starting at 2:30. For my partners, Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert, I'm Chad McKee. Hope you enjoyed Sooner Game Day. We'll see you next week as Oklahoma gets set to take on the Missouri Tigers here in Norman.